Hi, my name is Dave Jaco. I'm a tax attorney and I'll be your host for this short video on the IRS Offer and Compromise program. First thing we'll look at here is what is an offer and compromise, and then we'll take a quick look at what is not. Offer and compromise is an IRS program that is designed to allow taxpayers to reduce their tax debt to a payable amount. So if you owe more taxes than you can legitimately pay, the Offer and Compromise program is for you. The Offer and Compromise program is not a solution to every tax problem or everyone with tax debt. Contrary to what you may see online or hear on TV or on the radio, it's not a way for everyone to settle their tax debt for pennies on the dollar. Assuming that you're in a situation where you owe more taxes than you can pay, the next question is an offer and compromise right for me? And the answer is maybe. An offer and compromise is not the solution for everyone, even if you owe more taxes than you can pay. There's other issues and options to consider. And there's other ways of eliminating tax debt that might be better than an offer and compromise. For instance, the statute of limitations may run out and the IRS won't be able to collect. You might be able to discharge the tax in bankruptcy. You might be able to get innocent spouse relief, get penalties abated, and so on. There are three types of offers and compromise. These are, I call them, can't pay, you don't owe, and special circumstances. The can't pay type of offer and compromise is the most common, and it's formally known as doubt as to collectability. The don't owe is a basis, and it's formally known as doubt as to liability. And the special circumstances is formally known as to promote effective tax administration. You can file under any one or all three of these types of offers and compromise at the same time. So what are the steps in the offer and compromise process? Well, you'll need to complete IRS Form 656. That's where you actually make an offer to settle. You will come up with a number where you say, this is what I am offering to settle. Also, in conjunction with this form, you can submit legal arguments for the reduction of your debt. And that would be legal basis if you're filing as a doubt as to liability or a don't owe claim. You can file some legal arguments there. You can raise issues such as the non-collectability of the debt because you may be able to file for a bankruptcy, so the IRS ought to accept your offer because otherwise you go to bankruptcy and pay them nothing. Statute of limitations is coming up, those type of things. You also have to provide extensive financial data, and that'll be on Form 433. And on that form, you'll actually end up calculating what the value of your assets is and how much you'll be able to pay on a monthly basis going forward. And those numbers will be combined, and that will be the basis for the number that you would provide as your settlement offer. So the process is more of a formula. It's not just, hey, freewheeling negotiation, I'll offer you 10 cents and you get into negotiation over, whether they're going to come back and ask for 50. It doesn't work that way. You produce financial data. Financial data, according to formula, will be the basis for your settlement offer. You'll have to submit these forms to the IRS. There's a processing fee that you'll have to pay. And recently, in 2006, there's some changes, and you'll have to make some initial payments now. If you're going to make a lump sum offer, says we're just going to give you cash, you're going to have to send along with it 20% of your offer. And if you're going to make an installment, say we're going to make payments over time, you'll have to send that first installment along with your offer. The IRS Offer and Compromise Specialist will review it. They may come back and accept your offer, reject your offer, make a counter offer, and at that point there's some ability to potentially negotiate a deal, depending on what the claims are, whether there's doubt as to liability or whether there's arguments about the valuation of assets or something of that nature. And if you can't resolve it with the Offer and Compromise Specialist, they reject your offer, then you can go to the IRS Appeals and potentially appeal to the tax court or the U.S. District Court in appropriate circumstances. There's a few things you need to know about the Offer and Compromise, and these occur during the processing period. Filing the offer in compromise typically stops collection actions. In virtually all cases, the IRS is not going to come take your bank account. They're not going to continue to come after you while this offer in compromise is being processed. Also, the offer in compromise extends the statute of limitations that the IRS can come after you. This process is called tolling the statute of limitations, and essentially the IRS gets an ability to add on the length of the processing time to how long they otherwise would have been able to come and collect from you. The processing of an offer in compromise is not a quick process. It usually takes months to a year or more. There is a rule, however, that if the IRS does not act on your offer in compromise within 2 years, it's automatically deemed accepted. So 2 years is the outward window, but they take quite a bit of time. If you make an installment offer rather than a lump sum offer, you also, during this processing time, are going to have to make the monthly installments. Whether the IRS accepts or rejects your offer in compromise, you'll have to make these monthly installments, and those will be applied to your tax bill. We often get the question, can I file an offer in compromise myself, or do I have to hire a lawyer or a CPA? The answer is that yes, you can file an offer in compromise yourself. There's no requirement that you hire anyone to assist you. However, there are some complicated issues there, especially regarding valuation of assets and other things that if you don't get professional help, you could miss some valuable opportunities to reduce your tax debt. You may end up paying more in your offer in compromise than what you would really be required to underneath the rules and the law. You probably also, if they're going to do a don't owe arguing offer in compromise, you probably need some helps with your legal arguments. And then there's procedural issues and negotiation tactics and appeals that if you don't do it right, it could end up having bad consequences. The settle for pennies on the dollar, here's another instance where that's not really true. In 2004, there were about 120,000 offer in compromise filed, and only about 16% of those were approved. A lot of them were kicked back and not processed because they weren't done right. And ultimately, those that were processed, there's a low acceptance rate. So getting some professional help in a lot of cases is probably a good idea. Okay, where can you get help? Well, you can go to the IRS website, www.irs.gov, and there you can find all the forms and the instructions that the IRS provides for filing an offer in compromise. Now, be aware that the IRS provides this information, and it's not necessarily written, in your best interest. It's written on how to fill out the forms, but it doesn't talk about some of the techniques that can occur to help reduce the liabilities that you owe. If you decide you want to hire professional help, we're available to do that, my law offices, and you can find us at www.fortaxhero.com. And at the phone numbers that are listed on the screen. So hopefully you found this information about an offer in compromise helpful, and you'll be able to make a decision whether or not it's appropriate for you, and if it is appropriate for you, whether you want to go it alone or whether you need to seek help. Thanks, and that's all for now. Bye.